with Ecom Media's new program, Sort of Four. So Well, good morning, Kicksters. Welcome back to the Kick Excite Media's digital marketing program, where we can teach you how to grow your business. Now, there's a bit of controversy that's been going around, and I am not referring to the Oscars. Will Smith does not feature in this, but more importantly, do I have an accent? Is it the kick or the cuck? I've just got to get this right. And apparently there's some Kiwi concerns there. Feel free to comment on our Facebook page or YouTube and make sure that we know whether we're being sensitive to the international needs of our community. I guess that's the way to put it. Hey, it's really good that this morning we're going to be able to bring into the show Jacob Sang from Excite Media. Jacob, welcome to the Kick. Good to have you with us.
Hey, PG, thanks for having me on board.
Absolutely a privilege. You and I are going to talk all things Facebook in just a moment, but let's get a bit of background. If we went to the Excite Media team page, we're going to find out a little bit about your interests. And oh, there we go. Let's have a bit of a squiz through here. And what a great team of handsome individuals we've got. All these are made. Look, and there's only one person that's dressed for success with a suit jacket making it all happen, but suddenly the magic occurs. If you want to find out a little bit more about the Excite Media team, do visit our page. Tell us a bit about this photo. What's going on here?
So one of my biggest interests is definitely being a Marvel fan. I've got all their gears from the Thanos gauntlet there, the Mandalorian mask, all the way to the Thor's hammer. I love just having a bit of a collection. So call me a nerd, but I'm proud of it.
You're looking after the Disney share price and making sure it just goes up, whether it's a Mandalorian or, okay, now, come on, whose gauntlet is bigger out of the two of us? Let's have a competition. I've got mine. What about yours?
This one's almost as big as from my head down to my waist, so.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I've got to go like this to try and make it look as impressive as yours, but okay.
And also, these ones light up as well, so.
You are kidding me. That is awesome. Now, listen, if you'd like to make any comments on the Kick, always remember that on our Facebook pages, you can make a comment. We'll put it up on the screen. And also, if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, we'd love to hear from you. This is incredible because I reckon we could call you anything as long as we're not calling you late for dinner. Jacob, Jakey boy, Jake. Yeah. What's your preference?
Well, we've got a new one now, Jakey boy. It used to be called Snaky Jakey, Sangalanga, which is, my last name. My last name is Sang, so I also got Sandwich, Sangers and Mash. The list goes on, so I've definitely got a few.
I love it. Tell us, I met you when you were doing a workshop on Facebook for a non-profit group. I'm guessing 2.5, 3 years ago now. But when did you first get into the whole digital space? What was the attraction? It wasn't just being on the Marvel website.
Yeah, definitely. So I went to uni and did a marketing degree there. And I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to work for an agency. And which was weird. It's like, I just didn't want to. And then, 5 years later, I've pretty much been in agency life my whole career, I guess, last 5-6 years. So I guess where it started is, I love the business side of things. I love the creative side of things, but also like the psychology around how and why people do specific things. And I think with marketing, it kind of ties all that together. You can persuade people, you can, convince people to buy a product or a service that they might not even be looking for. So yeah, I love that whole psychology side of things, and agency life has just been perfect for that and for growing, the last few years.
It sounds like you and one of our founders, Scott Maynard, should get yourselves over a latte and discuss the psychology of marketing, because that's an area that he absolutely loves as well. And it's true. I mean, marketing can succeed or fail by understanding the human mind, how we react, what our behaviors are. So there's so much we need to get to understand about people.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not a psychologist, but after running, 100 easily different campaigns, you get to start to understand why people do specific things that they do and why they take action or whatever it may be, and just to kind of get in the minds of that. So everything that we do is literally based on like insight or data, and that's why I love marketing, because it ties all that together.
Now, you could dabble in a whole lot of different areas of digital, but we've got you focusing on Facebook,
Yeah,
loving the meta experience, as well as working with LinkedIn.
yeah.
Do you have any kind of favorite channel that you love working in?
Favorite channel, they're both great for different reasons. Personally, I probably like LinkedIn better, just because it's a little bit different. You can target people, job titles and industries and companies, but both have their advantages. Like with Facebook, you've got 3 billion users every day, so like you've got a lot to play with, a lot of people to target. But LinkedIn it's a little bit more niche. It's more business owners and people who are definitely driven more in like the corporate space, I'd say. But personally, they're both pretty good.
Well, we said that we would focus on that whole area of Facebook today because
Yeah,
it is a bit of a moving target. Both Google and Facebook love telling small businesses, just give us your credit card, we'll chuck a few ads out there and we'll make you $1
yeah,
million. And it
yeah,
seems so tempting, but it's more complex than that. And so today we said we're going to talk about the platform because it keeps changing.
yeah.
We're going to talk about the purpose of Facebook over other channels, and we're going to talk about some ad creative conversations as well. So, why don't we get stuck into it and have a look
Sounds
at some
good.
of these
Let's do it.
topics? What do you think Facebook is ideally suited for? Is it a platform that meets the needs of everybody, or a particular industries
Yeah.
or services or sales work well on Facebook?
I think, I mean, just to answer that with a question is like, what's the difference between Facebook and Google? I would say is intent. So people going to Google are trying to solve a problem or an issue then and there, right? Like you need an answer. With Facebook, it's more used for products or services where we need to prime people to build that credibility, build that brand reputation. And I think for any brands out there, like, there's e-commerce, there's professional services, everyone can use Facebook. Will it always drive sales and things like that? Most of the time, yes, but you've got to see where it fits in the whole user journey. And to answer your question, Facebook is great for what we call top of funnel. So people who might not be aware of your brand, they're not actively looking for a product, they're there to scroll through entertainment and to catch up on all their posts and things for the day. And I think Facebook is great for getting your ad top of mind and also just building that trust over time. And so it does play its part there.
So what we're saying is basically the customers are very ideally suited to the product or service that we're trying to sell, but they just might not know that they need it quite yet. So
Exactly
we're
right.
kind of bringing them into that understanding, aren't we?
100%. And that's why we have lots of, different options, targeting options in Facebook to help prime people. It could be video views, it could be brand awareness. And as people start going down that funnel, so from top of funnel to bottom of funnel, where they're more a warm lead, that's where we can start changing the messaging to be more direct, stronger headlines, things like that. So it definitely plays its part. It works a gem. But I think you're also got to take into account where Google and that sits as well, and they all play their part in the network.
I know from my own experience, Jake, at the moment, as a homeowner, I'm seeing ads for home mortgages,
With
patio extensions,
yeah, yeah,
solar.
yeah,
So they know that I'm an ideal candidate for those kind of services. What are
yeah.
some other products that you've sold or services that you've sold on Facebook that
Yeah,
have worked
definitely.
well?
Some big ones at the moment is definitely real estate. So, there's display homes going up a whole lot, and we need to try and target potential home buyers. We could target people who, looking to rent, things like that. We've got access to so many different interests, from job titles to people in real estate to people in non-for-profit charities to people wanting to buy equipment for their business, or pet supply. So I think the interest is important, because that's how we build our whole campaigns and everything that we do. To answer to your question, real estate is massive at the moment. Any e-commerce as well, especially with COVID hitting the last 2 years. A lot of businesses have basically pivoted from not just traffic in store to buy products, but it's really, okay, how can we actually increase our online sales? And it's driving, Facebook sales, Google shopping, to, a landing page and things like that. So we've definitely seen a shift more to ecom, I'd say, the last 2 years.
It's funny you say that. I look in my garage and I see the amount of empty boxes based on how many things have been delivered to this house over the course of COVID. So yeah, I'm guilty. I'm one of the buyers.
No, I'm
Okay.
guilty as well. Like, for me, being in Facebook every day, I buy so much stuff, from Star Galaxy lights to, I think I even bought fake tan the other day just because it was advertised as man tan and things like that. So I'll put my hand up and say I'm guilty too. But it works. Like, the whole, if you get your targeting right, you're creative, have an awesome offer, you can basically sell anything, or most things
It's
at least.
amazing what I didn't think I needed until we ordered those steak knives, but that's another story. Hey,
Love
Jake,
that.
one of the things that I think is a trap for anybody doing online advertising is
Yeah,
thinking that it's easy. And
yeah,
with Facebook in particular, the interface, the business management tools, they do seem to keep changing. I mean, you must
yeah,
struggle to
exactly.
keep up with it. What would you advise people to think about when they're looking at doing advertising? Is Facebook something you have to learn before you can get results?
Good question there. For beginners, there's a thing called Blueprint, Facebook Blueprint courses, and that basically takes you from, being brand new to, this is why we use Facebook, this is a Facebook pixel, this is how you set up a basic campaign. And I think for anyone out there wanting to learn more about Facebook, give that course a go. It'll give you a better understanding of all Facebook things. Maybe even jump in to the dashboard and start building your own campaigns and seeing what kind of traction you can get. The problem with then is you lead into, I guess, best practice issues. So, for example, instead of building one campaign with one audience at an agency, so what we like to do is build multiple audiences so we can A/B test. We try and get the best bang for buck and things like that. So I think start off with the course, get some traction, see what you know and what you don't know, and then that's when you can rely on agencies or programs out there to upskill yourself on how to use Facebook. But to answer your
Really
question,
good advice.
it's Facebook is pretty complicated. There's a lot of settings. The setup can be quite complex, and every time you get used to something, Facebook updates it 6 to 12 months, and then the recent iOS updates, which I know you probably get into as well, Pitchy, is definitely makes marketing challenging. But I think as marketers, that's our role. We're meant to adapt, we're meant to change. And, to the last 2 years is probably the perfect example to that. We've had everything change because of COVID. And, I think we've done a great job of adapting and helping our clients still get really good results, even though, everything's just been kind of thrown out the window of what we know about marketing and things like that. So,
You make a very interesting point, and I think it's really great that there's a solution like Blueprint because a small business owner, at the very least, can get a
yeah,
greater understanding of what Facebook does,
yeah,
so they can then have a conversation with a marketing person or an agency. But then
exactly,
coming back to what marketing is all about is testing and refining. And I think
exactly.
probably two mistakes that small business make is one, they think I've set it up, I'll just leave it running and it'll work.
Yeah,
Well, you're not
yeah,
getting the best results out of that because
yeah,
you haven't fine tuned it or checked it.
yeah,
And then the other mistake they make is that they fine tune it not knowing what they're doing. And so they just change things and hope the change makes a success. But they're actually not knowing what the change
yeah,
was about. What was it
yeah,
predicated on?
yeah.
Um, Let me ask you this. If I was running a campaign and I wanted to make sure that it got better and better, typically how long am I fine tuning over to see the results get
Yeah.
close to optimal?
Yeah. So there is no exact answer for that. It depends. It depends on your budget. For example, if you're spending $5 a day, you're only getting $5 a day worth of data. If you're spending $100 a day, you're gathering that data faster. So you're able to make faster optimizations. You're able to get more learnings and insight. So when we run campaigns for our clients here at Excite, we try and start with a minimum optimal budget to see, okay, in a month's time, this is how much data, how many clicks, how many impressions, and things that we think we could gather. And then based on that, we want to be able to make, informed optimizations based on data. Because the last thing you want to do is move away from a particular audience or age group or or interest or audience, depending, based on like $100 worth of ad spend. Can you see how the smaller sample size you have, you can't make informed decisions? So
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the campaign. It depends how big your audience is, depends on the budget, and that's something that we work closely with all our clients from day dot. We set expectations, and we're quite clear that, hey, it can take a while. Essentially, Facebook is a machine learning algorithm, so it needs time, and it's a business. It needs money as well to learn as well. So it does take time, money, and I think most of the time, 9 out of 10 times for our campaigns, your worst month is always your first month, because that's when you're starting fresh. You're trying to set up a campaign and test people who you might think is your audience, but 3 months down the track, they're not actually your audience. It's a different, age group or different interests. And I think we let that data drive all those decisions as time goes on.
The good thing with what you're saying is that over time, you're able to look at what sales came of it, what conversations for leads came of it, and decide whether you needed to tune things. Now, that probably leads into our next conversation, is the ad creative. Now, by ad creative, we're talking about the copywriting, the visuals.
Yeah.
Are they connecting with the right audience? I've been on Facebook and seen some boring ads, but I've equally seen some ads that I've gone, I have no idea what they're selling. How important is it to get this right?
It's very important. And I guess there's three main elements. Is creatives need to be thumb stopping. You see the same ad over and over, it could be a nice professional image, things like that. But if it's not thumb stopping, you're just another ad on someone's newsfeed, and you're paying for that. So you might as well make it engaging. And by thumb stopping, we mean something that grabs attention, something that looks a little bit different, catches your eye, makes you stop, literally. And the other thing is an offer. So the thing where, for competitive industries, there's so many businesses all targeting the same, like take solar, for example. There's so many solar companies out there. You would see probably 100 different Facebook
Hundreds
ads.
of them.
So what makes them different is creative. It's the offer. And I think that's a massive thing. And the third thing as well is, okay, once they've clicked on the ad, once they've seen the offer, is how easy is it for them to actually do what you want them to do? And that's normally a landing page issue or a website. So even simple things as not being mobile friendly, and the page loading fast, and having too much text and things like that. So if you get those three things right, the creative, the offer, and a good user experience, I think those are the three big keys. Yes, there's heaps of other factors like copy, headlines, and things like that. But at the end of the day, you want to try and focus on those three main core essentials, I guess.
No, you've really nailed it and covered so much in the 20 minutes that we've had together. Jacob, if you could kind of think of one lesson that you could give to a small business owner about how to approach their Facebook ads, kind of that defining thing that maybe they've got Facebook ads running at the moment and need to check something, what would be that one thing you think is worth taking the time to review right now?
One thing I would try and understand who your audience is, and then look at the results that you're getting. I know that's pretty basic, but that's all it comes down to is, okay, I've been targeting this audience for a while. Is it working? Is it not? If it's not working, how do you know it's not working? Is it your cost per purchase is too high? Is your ads not engaging? And I think when you get a good understanding of what you're looking for and how to analyze if a campaign's working, then that will really set you up for improving the ads, because not everyone knows everything. If your ads aren't working, go get help, go do an online course, speak to an agency. If it is working, it's like, okay, how can we actually fine tune it? And I think if you don't have the expertise, even then, speak to someone or to an agency that can actually help walk you through the process.
Love your work. Thanks very much for joining us on The Kick this morning. I really appreciated it. Some great insights. And if you do want to talk to the Excite Media team, then you can get hold of us via the Excite Media website. And it's nice and easy to go to excitemedia.com.au, and you can get started by clicking on the green button, and we'd love to be able to have a bit of a chat with you and see exactly what we can do to assist. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that we don't just do Facebook. So if you want a hand with those websites or working with SEO, make sure that you contact the Excite Media team. and we'll definitely guide you through our process of evaluating what's happening in your business. How do you want to grow? What does success look like? And once we've been able to have that conversation, we'll be heading in the right direction. Well, next week we're going to be back with more on the Kick. I look forward to joining you with another guest next Thursday.